Chapter 4. Kicking up a fuss. Li Cheng looked around and realized that the beast shop was close by as his lips curled up and gave Sima Yu a contemptuous glance as he sneered. Sima Yu, how thick is your skin? Do you really think that by giving Morong and a spirit beast, that would raise your standing? If I were you, I would have committed suicide long ago. Just by being alive is simply wasting food. Have you said enough? Sima Yu snapped back as she glared at him coldly. The last time you ganged up with them to beat me up, didn't you? Well, count yourself unlucky that you've ran into me today. Ha 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 ha. Li Cheng was amused by the tone and arrogance that came out of Sima Yu's mouth. Listen to this. Wow. It seems that you want to take revenge. Ha 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 ha. I think I might have heard wrong. Well, you want to fight with me? Bring it on. Since I did not kill you that day, let me solve that today and save the face of us men. He roared in contempt as he gathered spiritual energy and condensed them into a ball of red light on his hand. Although Sima Yu was walking on the crowded streets just moments ago, she had made a detour and had aimlessly wandered off into a small and quiet alley. Killing Sima Yu right here will not leave any traces and would pose no problems at all, hence Li Cheng had started off with such a vicious move. He had been unhappy with Sima Yu's very existence for a long time. Although born a trash, Sima Yu was still of the distinguished general's lineage. How unfair was this? Sima Yu looked at the growing ball of red light in Li Cheng's hand and knew this was a ball of condensed spiritual energy, not something her current body can resist if she met it head-on. She needed to interrupt him before he completed it. As soon as she made her decision, her body rushed forward with a dagger in her right hand as she aimed for his neck. Li Cheng was inwardly surprised. Not only did that trash not run away with his tail between his legs like usual, he actually tried to attack him. This Sima Yu before him was like a different person altogether. Sima Yu's action was decisive and nimble. She swiftly reached him in moments and he felt a chill as the blade rushed towards him. Just as the blade was about to touch his neck, Li Cheng hurriedly released the incomplete red ball and threw it at her as he stumbled a few steps back. Although the ball was incomplete, it still harnessed a terrible energy for Sima Yu. She knew she could not take it head-on as she quickly twisted her body and dodged to the right. However, as the distance was too close and the speed in which he threw it was too fast, she did not manage to completely dodge it and she felt a burning pain on her left arm. Boom! As soon as the ball of light touched the earth, it blew a big hole into the ground. Sima Yu looked at the hole it made, she shuddered. She was inwardly shocked that such a small ball of converged spiritual energy could harness such an explosive power. Somewhat similar to the bombs in her previous world, but this was much more powerful. Moreover, this was created from a mere person. Hiss. She sucked in a breath of cold air as she looked at her arm. She let out a sigh, even though that ball of light merely scraped by. Her sleeves were burned to a crisp and her entire arm was burned. Ha ha ha. Now you know my prowess. Li Cheng did not expect Sima Yu to actually dodge that. However, he felt a burst of pride when he saw her shocked expression from his spiritual energy. To create an energy ball like that is something trash like you will never be able to achieve. How about I give you a hand and send you on your way to reincarnate faster? Perhaps you may be able to practice cultivation in your next life. When Sima Yu saw that Li Cheng had started converging energy on his hand again, she naturally would not give him another chance to gather more spiritual energy. Li Cheng did not expect Sima Yu to be even faster than before and he had barely managed to converge a little energy. Despite her injury, she had reached him in mere seconds. This time when she appeared in front of him, she lifted her leg up and swiftly kicked his stomach mercilessly as he flew backwards and landed heavily on the ground with a thud. Li Cheng spat out a mouthful of blood and he dumbfoundedly looked at the crimson patch on the ground. That trash actually made him bleed. He roared in anger. A mere trash like you dare to hit me. Cough cough. Sima Yu silently appeared by his side and kicked him before he could stand properly and he fell to the ground. A spirit master's power lay in the manipulation of spiritual energy, but their body was no different from an average person. She ruthlessly kicked him a couple more times till he could no longer muster any strength to stand as he laid sprawled on the ground, groaning in pain. Sima Yu stood in front of him and sneered. Didn't you like to kick me? Well, how's the feeling of being kicked instead? In her past life, she was very familiar with the human anatomy and she knew where the weak points in the human body were. She lifted her leg and gave another kick. You bastard. Wait till I've recovered. I'm definitely going to kill you. The pain that Li Cheng felt was so overwhelming that he had lost all his rationality as he shouted incessantly. Thanks for reminding me. When cutting down weeds, you must pull them out from the roots, otherwise the weeds will return with the spring breeze. Should I give you a chance for revenge? Sima Yu laughed lightly and kicked him a few more times. Like what he did to the previous Sima Yu, she brutally kicked him till he fainted. Thinking back on how he swore revenge, although she did not fear his revenge, she did not want to deal with the extra trouble. Since his smelly mouth kept calling her trash repeatedly, why not let him experience it himself? When her gaze landed on the rock by the side of the crumbled wall, a smile blossomed on her face. Although you are only a lackey, however you truly wanted her life. I can't let you off so easily. Since you abhor trash so much, how about I let you have a taste of being one? You don't have to thank me. Ah! A shrill scream resounded from the small alley. After throwing away the blood-stained rock, she clapped her hands and said, well, you wanted her life and now I've crippled your meridians. This can be considered revenge for her. When you wake up, enjoy the taste of being called trash. Ouch. It really hurts. She clutched her injured arm as she walked out of the quiet alley, and she unassumingly walked back to the general's residence as if nothing had happened. After she left, two figures appeared at the alley. One was dressed in purple, a devilishly handsome face matched with an attractive figure as he exuded an air of arrogance. Although he did not express anything on his face, his eyes flashed a trace of interest. Next to him was a figure with fiery red hair and he was cloaked in a mantle of flames. If one took another look, one would realize that he was not a human but was a spirit beast. Didn't expect to come across such an interesting spectacle, a spirit master being crippled by a mere girl who doesn't have a shred of spirit energy. What courage! Fire Qilin praised. Wu Lingyu looked at the bloodied person on the ground as he thought back on how that girl who did not even bat an eyelid when she crippled his meridians. He gave an enigmatic smile and said, yeah, pretty interesting. Although she had used an illusion ring to cover up her gender, such petty tricks did not work on them. With one glance, they could see through the guise. Master, you are the esteemed holy son of the Sage Pavilion, please do not make such an expression. Fire Qilin gravely reminded Wu Lingyu when he saw the careless smile slip when he looked at Sima Yu. Wu Lingyu glanced at Fire Qilin as his expression returned to his usual aloofness, devoid of any emotions, and they both suddenly disappeared, not a single trace of them ever having been there left.